To celebrate a half century of Tweo episodes, Google have just announced that Penguin is now part of the core algorithm. Thank you, Google. I can't wait to find out what you're going to announce for episode number 100. Welcome to This Week in Organic, episode number 50.
This Week's in Organic. Live from London on thisweekinorganic.com.
Broadcasting live on the Authoritas Facebook page, you're watching This Week in Organic, the weekly show that debates the ramifications of the latest SEO and content marketing news. Sign up to watch the next show live at thisweekinorganic.com. Hello, welcome. I'm David Bain, Content Marketing Director for Authoritas.com, and each show I'll be joined by some knowledgeable, opinionated folks to discuss the latest happenings and anything that impacts organic traffic. And as for you in the live audience, get involved. So there's a chat on the Facebook page, and you can always use the good old Tweo hashtag on Twitter. And I'll try and keep an eye out for that and include any comments as part of the live show. But let's find out more about today's guests, where they're from, and what's grabbing their initial thoughts on today's Penguin announcement. So starting off with Zach.
Hi, my name is Zach Stone. I work Foster Web Marketing as a senior marketing strategist here. We specialize in the legal industry, and we're located in just outside Washington, D.C. I'm really interested in how the Penguin update will affect both positive and negative link building practices. So is this going to open up the door for people to really risk
positive, negative link building practices? Hopefully we'll get Zach back in a second there, but let's move on to Mark.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Mark Thomas. I work for a software company called Botify. I'm currently based in London, although our headquarters are in Paris. It's a rather momentous day, as David has said. I think I'm always intrigued to see how the industry reacts. So I find myself glued to Twitter to watch everyone's observations on the latest update. The question for me is whether people actually recognize a bit of an improvement, where they've been waiting some time for some of the Penguin issues to be lifted from their site. So I'm kind of expecting things to be a bit flat personally, but we'll see, and we'll watch with bated breath.
We will indeed. So thank you for that, Mark. Good to have you here. And also with us today is Marcus.
Hey folks, my name is Marcus Miller. I'm head of digital marketing at Bowler Hat. We're based in Birmingham, UK. We specialise in search marketing, so SEO, pay-per-click. On the Penguin front, I mean, I think it's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out over the next few weeks, really. I mean, we've worked with a lot of folks that have historically had problems, the kind of things, we've probably all seen. But they've really put the cleaning work. They've put the work in, they've cleaned up, they're getting kind of good PR-based links, yet they're yet to see kind of full resolution of the issues. So it'll be really interesting to see if these guys now, rise back up to where they should be, or, whether there's still issues, or, whether it's like Penguin 3 and a bit of a non-event. I'm on the fence. You have to think how long this one's been in the incubator. We should see quite a lot of change, but more than anything, I'm hoping for the guys that are doing things the right way. They see resolution of those issues.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully you won't be on the fence for too long. It might be a bit painful out there. And also with us today is Laura.
Hey, you're right. I'm also Brummy, so we've got two Birminghams on the call, and I'm head of search at Rice Media, and we're a search and social marketing agency. So we do SEO, PPC, and social media. For me, with Penguin, I'm interested about the disavow side of it. So we've actually seen quite recently a lot of people seeing positive impact from a fresh disavow. How that's going to play out now with the update, and now with it being part of the core update.
That's a great angle. So thanks for that, Laura. And also with us today is Casper.
Hi, my name is Casper Szymanski. Thanks for having me. I'm one of the two Search Brothers, searchbrothers.com being our agency. The other one is Phil Visa, also a rather known character in the industry, I suppose. Now we're based in Dublin and Berlin, Germany. And in terms of what we're going to be talking about today, I'm thrilled. And this is something we've been waiting for a really long time. Now, similarly to what Laura said and a couple of the other guys, we work quite a lot with disavow files. We work quite a lot with sites that try to find their way back in Google's grace. And I'm very optimistic that this is going to give us a chance to display results to clients and, get our clients really back in Google's good grace much, much faster as in comparison to, let's say, the last 12 months or so. So this is a good thing. We're very much looking forward to that.
Great. Okay. Well, hopefully you're still going to be saying that in a month's time or so, Casper. So.
I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah, but I'm happy to come back on the show again.
You'll be welcome back, because I'm sure you could be giving wonderful opinions today as well, and people will be clamoring for you to be back. So good to have you here, and also with us today is Felipe.
Oh, hi guys, my name is Felipe from Bazon. I'm from Brazil. I work for this SEO agency here. I've been doing SEO for about 10 years. Just as a matter of fact, I've learned to do SEO back in the UK about 10 years ago. My opinion or my thoughts about Penguin 4.0, I'm still, like a few of you guys, still on the fence here, especially because we see here in Brazil that things tend to, like these updates tend to get here a bit slower than you guys in the UK or in the US. But I'm like, I want to see how this new update will go at a page level, because they said that will be more granular. And from my experience here, I've seen that we've done some work like in the specific pages, and we've seen results like disavowing links for a specific page and gaining back the rankings. So I don't know how much that will affect or that will change SEO as we do now, or as Google look at links. That's what's my opinion about it.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, Felipe. So just in case anyone haven't heard, Google have announced two main things about Penguin. First of all, Penguin's now real-time, and also Penguin's now more granular. So now real-time, Penguin's data is refreshed in real time, so changes will be visible much faster, typically taking effect shortly after Google crawl and re-index a page. They're also more granular, so they're going to be aiming to devalue spam by adjusting ranking based on spam signals rather than affecting the ranking of the whole site. But we've heard everyone's initial thoughts on what's happening, so let's delve into things a little bit deeper here. So, Zach,
Can I just one thing, if you don't mind?
Yeah, who is that? Casper?
Yeah, that's Casper speaking. Yeah, hi. They actually said one more thing. I take great pleasure really in reading carefully what is being said and done, being involved in corporate communication for a really long time. They also said, stop asking for any more updates because there is none coming. And that's one thing that is very specific in that announcement made by Gary. And I think it's an important one to remember. That means we have now a little bit more security. We know now it's real time going forward. We can anticipate for the algorithm to improve significantly. But whatever imperfections are there, do not expect any announcements on one that's going to be fixed. And that's an important one for our business and our industry, I believe.
And just to clarify that particular aspect of the announcement, do you think he was referring to just Penguin or organic search updates?
Oh, I do believe this is in reference to Penguin only. Of course, there will be ongoing webmaster outreach operation. Of course, there will be all the people that we got used to enjoy interacting with us, talking to us. I'm talking about Gary. I'm talking about John. I'm pretty sure they will maintain communication, two-way communication with the industry. However, I do not think there will be, great many announcements going forward in regards to where Penguin stands, where it's going, and that's just something we have to, learn to live with as an industry, I suppose.
I think that's probably a good thing, because folks obsess over these updates a little bit too much, and particularly clients, or they're waiting and they're kind of paralyzed to some extent, waiting for the next little bit of news. So, it's that's not necessarily a bad thing. It allows us to be more marketers and to sprinkle the kind of search on top of everything else that we're doing, rather than to be just, chasing these sort of algorithmic components.
Absolutely what Marcus said, absolutely +1. I do believe focus on getting the job done is very important, as in comparison to, trying to follow on the most recent trend or most recent information to be shared. I think it's a good thing for us.
Yep, agreed.
Great. Okay.
Will it be good for business? Do you think, you guys consulting?
Yeah, I think we had an internal discussion. Do we want to seek business from people who are hit by this current Penguin algorithm update? And we decided no, we probably don't. From these historical things that we've seen, where people are spending all this time trying to dig people out of a hole, it's just, it's we don't necessarily want to take out other people's trash. So, if people are recovering or they've done good work, but if people get really hit by this, unless I think that they're a company that has been misled by an agency that's told them they're doing work of one kind of variety and is doing something else, then we're not necessarily going to aggressively go after that kind of work.
Do you think we'll see penalties be lifted quicker though now? That's the thing, because obviously before we had to wait for the next Penguin update to really see kind of the benefit of the work we've done in cleaning up. But now if it's part of the core algorithm, I reckon we might see changes quicker for clients who maybe previously have had it.
And you think it would be more...
Just jump in real quick? Sorry for interrupting. And this is, again, Casper speaking. Now, penalties and algorithms are two different things, really, even though for a lot of clients, they feel very much the same. So penalties won't be lifted faster or slower just because the algorithm has been adopted. Penalties will be lifted the volume of restoration requests on the pipeline. The algorithm will have no impact on manual spam action, which is what we commonly refer to as an industry as penalties. Just want to clarify, because a lot of clients, and maybe you guys can relate to that, a lot of clients, for them, it feels the same, really, whether they are being penalized or whether they're impacted by an algorithm. For them, it's all the same. But in the way you're dealing with the situation, that's a whole different ballgame, and they don't exclude each other. A site can be impacted by an algorithm and be penalized at the same time.
This is, I guess you're talking about the manual penalty versus the kind of algorithmic dampening of, So, I mean, I agree with Laura, really. Hopefully, if there are these algorithmic issues and they are related to historical bad links, removing those links, you should see an iterative improvement. Maybe if you remove one really, really bad link, will we see some kind of, positive impact from that? Will we see, I like to think that this time it won't be so punitive, because there are lots of kind of collateral damage in historical updates, and that small businesses that have paid for cheap SEO that have been wiped off the map, really, because that's just the way their agency was working. I think at this point in the game, in businesses have to take responsibility for the kind of the search work that the people that they employ. However, there's still a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that aren't always, what they look to be. So, so people who are in a hole, I'd like to think that hopefully this does help them get out quicker.
Yeah, 100%. I'd like to think that Google don't do what they did a few years ago and just be super harsh. Because I remember one of the previous really big Penguin updates, they were coming back this was when you actually submitted a response, a reconsideration, and Google would respond to you. There were times when they'd come back and flag links saying that they were spammy links that actually were really good natural links, quite often like press coverage in a local newspaper, and you'd just be banging your head against the wall thinking, well, actually this is a legit really good link. And I just hope that Google don't revert back to that with this update and make it a bigger thing than it should be, because we should be building good links. Most agencies are building good, strong links for clients. And I think a lot of clients are scared of link building. And I think even within the industry, we're scared to talk about link building.
That's one of
the benefit you can get from it. And I don't want us to kind of step back to that when actually, there's so much good we do with link building. Even from Brighton SEO at the start of the month, there were so many really good examples people were talking about of things they've done. I don't want us to take like 10 steps back because of this update.
That's one of the first things that Zach said. Zach, you obviously said, is this going to be negative or positive for link building? So what were you meaning by that?
Basically, what I meant by that is I've seen clients who have, for example, the granular part of this, where previous companies were really trying to make them rank for this keyword or these types of phrases specifically, and they focused on building low quality directory links using their business name as a keyword as opposed to actually using the business name and that kind of thing. It was really hard to get out of that because you're waiting, and you're not sure if things are gonna turn around. But I think it will be really interesting to be able to take certain subsets of bad links that you see or different types, whether it's content spinning or low quality directories, and take them out in chunks and see what kind of effect that might have, as opposed to just taking out every type of negative backlink to your. Now we'll be able to test that a little bit more and not just submit and wait. So I just kind of think it's interesting that it's more granular now, that you're going to be able to see an effect of maybe a service being affected and not just the website as a whole.
Marcus, at the beginning, you were quite hopeful that the real-time nature of this update might mean that clients perhaps could see quicker changes, and you indicated that it was quite difficult for people to come out of a historical penalty, and it may be easier now. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think if people were paralysed by this belief that they had to wait for Penguin and that they were penalised by Penguin, they don't have that excuse anymore. If those issues have fell away and people are confident that they haven't, got manipulative or dodgy links out there, then folks can concentrate on kind of more solid kind of marketing activities that have that kind of SEO kick as well. So I like to think it'll be positive. Things will move forward, but we will see. I'm sure that the SEO industry at large will find other things to obsess on about links. Maybe it'll be artificial intelligence and how Google's evaluating links real time now. But we will see.
That's one of the things that Mark said. You're interested to see how the industry reacts. Do you think the industry will be feeling quite positive about things at the moment?
One half.
I think so. I mean, I've even whilst we're on air, I'm sort of watching Twitter a little, and the Dr. Pete Myers and Glenn Gabes of this world are busy chatting away. And, Google's made it clear that they've still got to crawl significant volumes of the web before any of this sort of works its way out. So there's a lot of that initial excitement, but I'm sure see lots of interesting articles in 2 or 3 weeks, won't we, to really debrief what changes happen.
Absolutely.
A lot of the expectation is that those that have been suffering for a couple of years will see some improvement. Is probably a prediction. I'm curious from the panel just to think, are there situations where they're expecting people to get this, found out for issues at this point, or do you think? I feel like this kind of renaissance of technical SEO, as Mike King coined it, has seen people really turn their back on bad practice. So I find it unlikely that a major brand is going to suddenly have an Interflora moment of being penalised on scale. Personally, I find it unlikely, but can anyone think of scenarios, maybe lots of migrations taking place, disavow files being forgotten to be moved and stuff? Can that come back?
I think there's still a lot of spam at the street level for smaller businesses, and in certain industries it'll be, and this is where I think where the algorithm will be kind of have to be kind of intelligent, in that it'll have to say, okay, so if it's Bitcoin gambling or poker tips, do they assess links the same way as they assess links for a flower shop or some other industry? It's going to be it will be an interesting few months. What's a spam link in one industry? Is that a spam link in another industry? And we still pick up customers every single week, and you look at the historical work that's been done even very recently, and it's not good. It terrifies me. Having I've been in this industry for a long time now, and seeing businesses ruined, almost you could say lives ruined by algorithms and by this. Although people aren't innocent, they've made a lot of money. There's all these moral issues here as well. So it's I just hope that the people who've put in the good work get the kind of result that they're looking for.
Laura, you were first to mention the word disavow.
Yes.
How does this actually correlate with disavow, and what kind of impact are you seeing through disavow at the moment?
As recently as a couple of weeks ago, we've seen positive ranking increases from implementing a disavow for clients. And what I found actually really interesting was, I think it was Paul Madden did a conversation about disavow at Brighton SEO, and he was saying that there's some instances they've seen in their stats where people have reavowed links from a historic disavow and have seen a positive increase from that as well. Now it's quite, I'm not confident in doing that myself yet, because I feel that disavow is there to remove things that you think are low quality, are completely irrelevant to your client, that you don't want associated with your brand. But it's interesting that people are actually now going back and taking links out of the disavow to see if it gives them an increase.
I think
it might backfire. Yeah.
You've got to tinker, haven't you? And it's why it's nice to have some kind of little sites that are your own that you can play with and say, okay, let's disavow everything, see what happens. Let's just put half of them back in. Let's just take out forum links. Let's just take out, guest posts or something and see what happens. But again, taking those lessons and applying them to another industry or even another location, I don't think it always works like that. You've got to look at the individual business as well. It's super tough, and you've got to be super granular. You can't. It's very hard to take one lesson from one job and apply that to the next. We found.
Yeah, we manually do disavows. Like, I know there's a lot of tools out there that can help you with it, but I just find you get the best disavow file by doing it yourself. It takes a long time. It really does.
Absolutely.
But you've got it right then, and you've got the right context. But what amazes me is the amount of our clients that don't know the terrible backlinks they've got, and they've had agencies previously, and they just don't realise the low quality ones that are there. It's quite scary that clients don't know what links have been built for them historically, because as I'm sure you're the same, but as an agency, we're very transparent. We show our clients everything we do for them. Absolutely. And all the links we build. So it's really concerning. I'm talking quite big brands as well, not just your local business.
Well, we're the same. It's scary out there when you start to dig in.
Felipe,
if I may add my 3 cents on top of that, not only the backlink profiles tend to be scary, but also the type of disavow files that have already been submitted and their formatting.
That's
and
even worse.
Patterns at times, upon sanitizing certain already submitted and presumably decent disavow files, we are in the position that we figure out, okay, 90% of the disavow file is actually not something that is doing any good.
We've seen a disavow file before where somebody's actually disavowed their own website. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, and this is the problem with the tools. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw someone who disavowed WordPress entirely, so that was just unbelievable.
Well, Paul Madden's example was the BBC.
So let me jump in right here. You have to disavow WordPress.com in some verticals. You have to. And the reason for me saying that is not because of WordPress. I'm a big fan personally myself. But you have to go really with the hatchet against the sites that are being notoriously abused. And unfortunately, WordPress is one of them, and Blogspot is another one of them. And
but
it doesn't.
URL level, not domain level. For
absolutely, you
or
have
a
to.
subdomain.
And it doesn't go, it really comes down to obviously the vertical, the niche that you work with. You have to review their backlink profile first. It comes down to the language as well. But when we talk about essentially free hosts, because that's what they are, it's really essential to look how spam policing, web spam policing is being done. And also in some markets, in some languages, free hosts are really free for all. And, the darker characters of our industry just take it all and take it basically over. And unfortunately, it seems that WordPress and Blogspot are among these that are rather poorly policed, which is rather, curious in my book, given that, both are very, very big and Blogspot belongs to Google itself. Sorry, you were saying?
You've got to think that this should get to a level of maturity where a disavow file doesn't matter, where a bad link is automatically discredited and doesn't provide anything. It can't provide a negative or positive aspect to make sure there's no kind of, should website owners really have to be policing the links that point to their site? Is that a worthwhile marketing kind of a spend of marketing time and effort, or is that just is that just an SEO job? You know, it's a difficult question. Yeah, personally, I'd like to think that you can. I mean, we've done tons of disavow work, you know, in the past. Some has had helped, others has done nothing. No consistent kind of, you know, nothing I'd hang my hat on at all. But I'd like to think that you can get to a stage with this where you just don't have to disavow. You just do good work for people, and the good people rise to the top, and the people that don't do good work, you know, fall back. Surely that's where we'd like it to go with all of this, you know, artificial intelligence and advancement. But
I'd just like to get Felipe's perspective on the Brazilian market compared with the rest of the world as well, because you're saying, Felipe, you started off in the UK. You're now doing SEO in Brazil, and you've been in the industry for about 10 years or so. So what do you find, if anything, is the differences? You mentioned that perhaps there might be some kind of delay in updates. What have you experienced yourself directly?
Yeah, in some cases, like especially when we talk about these big rollouts like Penguin and Panda, we seem to see. Well, I follow everything that goes out in the UK and the US, and I seem to see that things here in Brazil that like these updates tend to impact us like a little later. Okay. But going on what you guys are saying about disavowing and so, we had some experiences here, like as Marcus was saying, it's not something that you can hang your hat on, because we had positive results and negative results. But what we've been seeing these past few months is that like when you submit a disavow file, Google is processing much faster, and the results are like, you can see improvements in rankings depending on the case. Like, we've done a job recently, and we disavowed these many bad links that this website had. And after Google processed the file, we noticed a rank improvement. But I think we are focusing too much on the disavow side of things and not talking about the quality of links that we need to get. Because here, like with my team, this is the last strategy that I use. It's disavowing links. If I get a new client and I see that it has a bad link profile, my job is to generate or build better links to it before going to the disavow. I say disavow is my last resource. When I said I've done everything, build the links, gain new links, good quality links, and then I go to disavowing them. And I think this is my view about not only about what's going on right now about being Penguin 4.0, but as a whole, as a strategy in SEO. I don't really look into. I know disavowing is important, but it's not something that it's my top priority here.
So who does it the opposite way around? Who takes on a new client and the first thing they do, go to the disavow file?
Look at the disavow file within the first couple of months just to see, first of all, if one's been done, because you'll be amazed at the amount of links. Once you have a quick look in Majestic and you see they've got terrible links and then they don't have a disavow. So it's like a foundation work nowadays, because it's quite difficult to have a client come on board and find that they don't have any bad links. It would be quite a sweeping statement, but I think most people do have some negative links, especially like the zine articles and those kind of ones. If you know they've had an agency beforehand, then we always check straight away.
And Laura, do you think real-time Penguin will make you check disavow even more regularly in the future?
Yeah, I think like we tend to do it quarterly for current clients anyway, just to make sure there's nothing crept up that we haven't done that somebody else has done, just to make sure there's nothing there. But I think it's probably worth checking every couple of months now. If there's a volatile client that you know has historically had quite a bad link profile.
I agree. We also take a look very early at the disavow file, and when I was talking about WordPress, I was really looking at the domain and disavow as opposed to individual URL disavows. And I think it's a little dangerous to disavow an entire domain like WordPress just because there could be positive links that you're missing out on because you're blanket covering this calling this entire website or group of websites that can come from there negative. But we definitely clean up the house and then you start decorating it with awesome links. You don't just start putting stuff in there and not focus at what's already been happening and what got them to where they are now.
I think, 90% of clients that you take on have done some historical SEO. So you have to do a situation analysis. You have to, whether that includes the disavow or not, but you've got to do a basic audit, look at their site, understand the content on the site, understand potential linkable assets or anything on the site, and definitely understand the link profile, because unless you do that audit and understand the current state of play or the current situation, you can't possibly know how to move forward in a kind of, how to prioritize tasks.
Agreed.
So
Yeah, but, okay, I agree with you guys. Just to complement what I said, my point is we do disavow links, but we think from my standpoint or from my point of view, I think that other things are more important to do before going to the disavow file. You have to look at the technical side, improve content, and good links. Then I think all right, you tied up the house, you got all the things all going right. Then I apply the disavow links. Obviously, you start looking at the links profile. My link building team look at it, and this website has a bad link profile, but there are technical issues, there are content improvements that we can make. Let's fix that and then move forward to disavowing links. I'm not saying it's not on the top of my list, but we do look into that.
I agree. Every job's different, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we've got a few different comments
sure.
coming in. We've got Nadia saying, I think you touched upon this in your industry-to-industry linking comment, but referring to the granular level of this update, do we think the fact that pages are likely to be penalised, i.e. services and not websites, meaning that companies will have to really think about the page they have a link from or the website itself? Anyone want to comment on that?
Penguin 2 already seemed quite granular, Penguin 1 seemed more homepage. Penguin 2 seemed, it had that granular element to it. We didn't see any major difference from Penguin 3. So when they say granular, I tend to think they're referring to the inbound links and the granularity of individual links more so than, pages. It still already has a page level aspect and a keyword level aspect. So it'll be interesting to see that clarified by, what we see.
And also watching is Paul Madden. And Laura, you obviously commented about on his talk at Brighton SEO. You search for Brighton SEO on YouTube, you can see his talk number one there because we produced the live show for that. But Paul's saying that disavow works very well. We see that clearer than anyone, I'd say. Real-time Penguin's a good thing. Keeping your profile clean is more relevant today than it's ever been. And Paul also saying that quarterly is sensible. Every 2 weeks is easier if you've got a large profile. Detection and analysis of new links is also hugely important now. So at least quarterly, I guess, is the general thought on regularity of disavow viewing. So any thoughts on that, Laura?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's good to do it quarterly. It's like there's tasks that you should do every so often and just keep refreshed to make sure that all the foundations are there, because as one of the other guys said earlier, there's no point doing some like cracking good work if actually there's something holding you back and there's something negative there. It's the same with your technical health. You want to keep reviewing that every few months to make sure that there's no errors cropping up that are hampering all the good work that you're doing.
Also got Andy Simpson saying, good point, or the initial part of, or the initial audit and the plan going forward. I always educate the client on the good and the bad that's been done in the past. Is there any kind of scenario where it's worthwhile keeping some things from clients, or do you need to talk about everything to them? What are your thoughts on that, Marcus?
You've got to be 100% transparent. I mean, particularly if you find things in the history that you think are going to hold you back. I mean, there's no two ways about it, because what you don't want to do is take on a client August this year. There's tons of historical problems. They're doing okay. They get hit by Penguin now for links that were built 18 months ago, and then it's your problem because you're the current agency. So, that initial audit and situation analysis, gosh, it's critical, but absolute transparency as well, and education of the client. Help them understand what it is that they're buying, or what they, help them to be able to ask you those difficult questions, and we tend to find people appreciate that. It's not always they're not always nice messages you're giving people when you're telling them, look, we're really worried about all these thousands of pounds that you've spent historically, and we want to get rid of that. But I'd rather deliver that message, and something goes wrong, and we can say, well, look, guys, we told you. Then something happens, and all of a sudden it's our problem.
Does anyone actually think that this real-time update may even change the way that some SEO is done?
I hope it changes it so that SEO is done for the better, and the agencies that are still doing the spammy links stop it.
Name people. No.
Can I just throw something else in there? One of the factors that seem to trick people up in, say, a HTTPS migration. So often you read, I'm trying to remember some of the, I probably shouldn't name names, but there were some famous examples where overnight they seem to, somebody had forgotten to move the disavow file seemed to be the problem, because I think John Mueller flagged this up at one point, that you had to move disavow file from HTTP across. Do you think there's a lot of chances that through migrations changes that naturally occur on sites in the last few years that people just have forgotten and should really go and check right about now? Would that make a difference? Would they already have noticed? That's what I'm...
All of those historical issues. We see sites where, a web developer redesigns a site, and when you really dig into it, there's 4 or 5 versions of that site with 4 or 5 sets of redirects over the years, and you've got to go all the way back, and the disavow is no different. You've got to honour the historical work that's been done, and then say, okay, here we are. This is where we are now. How do we move forwards?
Talking about moving forwards, you've got Carolina Perez saying with the new Penguin, what's the future to link building? So does it actually change the way that link building should be done for certain industries?
If you're doing it right, then no, it shouldn't. If you're targeting those really high quality sites, if you're using your content in the right way to get links, if you're going after your unlinked brand mentions, if you're just producing really good quality content, whether that's graphics, quizzes, blogs, whatever, that people want to link to, then no, it shouldn't change your strategy at all. If you're doing really shady techniques, then yes.
Yeah. We like to call it link earning instead of link building, because you're really just trying to develop quality content and ways to get or attract links, not try to build them yourself. So whether that's through your offline efforts that can turn into links online, but it's or just developing really great quality content that people want to link to. It really is about earning those links, not trying to build them.
Google's the link schemes page on the Google support site says it pretty much perfectly. The best way to get other sites to create high quality relevant links to yours is to create unique relevant content that can naturally gain popularity in the internet community. Now, that's a little bit optimistic. You've still got to grease the cogs and let people know about that great content. But still, most historical problematic link building is done completely back to front. They don't create something of value on the site and let people know about it. You have a site that has a very low kind of value footprint, and then you try and build links that just don't add up. So there should always be more value within the site than there should be in the link profile, because people don't know about it yet. It shouldn't be that difficult for Google to crack this, really.
So what about the Penguin filter itself? Does anyone have any views on how it's evolved over time, and how this real-time update is likely to impact how it might evolve in the future?
I'd like to think there'd be more kind of real-time kind of learning. I think the real-time aspect is the most important aspect here, and hopefully it'll be less punitive, and people will just see problems fall away rather than have an actual kind of penalty kind of levied against the site that they can't easily kind of come back from.
I think this real-time update will prevent those websites that come and go, spammy websites. The guy that's built up the website and built some links to it, like low-quality links. I see this here in Brazil. Like you get this website, all of a sudden it appears in your search for your keywords, and the guy that he just put the website on, built some links to it, like low-quality ones. And it has a real short lifetime, but it does happen. I think this real time and Penguin being part of the core algorithm will prevent that kind of spammy websites that come and go. So I don't know if you guys be the same.
No, absolutely, totally agree. So spammers have had a 2-year kind of penguin holiday for the last couple of years. So, you won't be able to build kind of burner sites. So you think, okay, this may only rank for 6 months, 12 months or whatever, but, we've got another one 3 months behind and another one 3 months behind. Hopefully it should deal with some of those kind of issues.
Now, one thing, I'd like to be optimistic and see the direction going there going forward. But based on past years, really, I think we have to be realistic that it won't be perfect.
No, absolutely.
No algorithm.
Definitely. Yeah.
And they will always be sites slipping through the cracks. That's just something that at times, so it's obviously very, very challenging to bring to clients' attention, especially if that's exactly the sites they don't want to see ranking because of the competitors. But that's probably something we will have to continue addressing going forward. I don't expect perfection, not in a system this complex, with this many languages, this many different verticals. I mean, markets are tremendously different. They differ in volumes, in the type of links that are being built, how they are being built. It's really completely different. Even neighboring countries are so much different. So there's just no way they can get it perfectly right straight away.
Talking about links, Paul Madden's just made another quick comment saying this highlights anchor text as a proxy for the intent and therefore risk of any given link. Anchor text is still powerful, but it's a huge component of general risk now. I have a weekend of algo tweaking to get on with. But what about link text being quite a risk? Does anyone have any thoughts on? Is it still appropriate to be aiming for a fair amount of keyword-rich links, or is brand text generally what you should be aiming for nowadays?
We found that.
Sorry, that depends on how comfortable the risk levels are. The clients. If we're talking patron-facing links, it's clearly a risk to have keywords anywhere near the link. So really up to the client, as long as you're completely transparent about it, as long as you educate them and make sure they understand what risks are associated, that's their call. But the risk is clearly there.
And what are you linking to? That's the thing as well, isn't it? If you're linking to some huge piece of content on the site, not the homepage. I'd like to think that most people on this call are just going to just look at the client's many keywords and fire links at the homepage of the site. Surely it's more about the authority of the linking site and the context, and there's so much to consider. It's to say, clearly the text of a link helps imply the context of the site or whatever. So as long as they're natural and varied and you're not forcing it, then just be sensible, play safe.
Yeah, they have their place, especially if you've got a specific product that you're trying to look at that's a popular product, it's going to naturally get links, and maybe in that case doing some anchor text around the name of the product, it's relevant, it's perfect for that situation. But as you've just said, it's thinking about the context behind it and whether it's there. We've found that interlinking on your own site with anchor text links has had value and has had benefit. I don't want to do a tiny plug, but in my Brighton SEO talk, there's a few examples. So one of our clients is a wedding venue client, and we did some exact match text on their homepage to their deeper pages on their own site. And we not only saw click-through rates increase, but we saw a term top Google without any other external link building to it. So it's thinking about the context behind it. I think using it on your own site is perfectly safe. But when you start looking at other sites, and we see it all the time. You see a comment where someone's called Michael Kors watches, that kind of stuff. That's the thing that's going to get you hit by Penguin. But say, for example, there's a really good forum about your products, and you're like, okay, yeah, we've got a product here. That's really relevant.
I'm yet to see a good comment from Mr. Cheap Viagra.
That one,
yeah. What about yourself, Mark? What are your thoughts on anchor text and brand and keyword-rich linking, basically?
That was fired to me, David.
Yes.
Sorry,
yeah.
Marcus and Mark are all sounding a bit similar. Look, I mean, I focus always on on-site optimization and good variants of keywords for your anchor text and
Internal links you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly, internal links. So I won't really comment. To be honest, it's not my specialism, so I'm listening to the other guys and just hearing their comments. But I think you've got to use common sense with this stuff and figure that, you know, it's pretty. You know, when Casper's talking about the things that are difficult to calculate for Google, you know, variance across markets, you know, some of the things that, you know, keyword work is probably some of the easier stuff for them to pick up on, right? So I'd veer clear.
Absolutely. I think as well, if you're writing, if you've been putting together a piece of content that links to another great piece of content, and it mentions actually that needs expanding on, so you link to another piece of content on the target side, and one of the keywords happens to fall within that string of text that you use as a link, well, great. You know, if you're manipulating it and taking out stop words and then you know you're an idiot. There's no nicer way to spin it at this point in time. You know, it's just got to be natural. How does it? What works best for the user who should be reading that piece, that article? You know, what's always try and apply that human element to it and stop trying to think like, you know, a machine learning system that's probably cleverer than all of us.
Yeah, in the U.S., what I see a lot in the legal industry are blog posts or content pieces that at the very end, it's the same exact call to action every single time. Oh, if you've been injured in an accident, contact one of our Atlanta personal injury lawyers, and then links back to the service area or whatever it might be. And it's the same exact thing over and over again. And some of that content, it doesn't make sense to have that kind of call to action.
Nope.
Mix up the call to action, gated content, offer, or have some kind of social call to action, or mix things up. I see so many people focusing so much on just that specific keyword they think is going to bring them all the business in the world, but they have no idea that traffic is. They actually get it.
Make it right for the human, and then give it 10% for, you know, the SEO kind of, or for the search engine. And that's, you know, if you defer to that, you're probably okay. Probably.
I think you know, hopefully this is all an end of a chapter of, you know, an era. Google's come good on clearing up, you know, spammy practices in terms of link building. But I think there are other areas, and you know, social sort of spamminess. There are plenty of other areas we may have to look towards next. I think could be interesting as well. But the coming months, I mean, not to sound like I'm pushing our conversation on, but there's so much other stuff to now focus on. AMP interstitials are going to be punished in January, and some really surprising large sites that still have really poor practice. So I think there's such an enormous volume of good technical work that we should all be concentrating on, of course. That I feel it's been a really therapeutic final chats for a lot of people, but I hope this kind of draws a line. And I'm no comedy writer, but I was thinking this is more like Gary's monkey update. He finally gets the monkey off his back about naming this update as arriving before the end of last year. And I'm just kind of thrilled to see that every software company can run late with upgrades and updates. So it's, in some ways, it's been a good moment for me to, you know, see a 9-month delay for someone else. Anyway, there's my thoughts.
Hopefully it is the end of a certain chapter, and good links will work and bad links won't work, and the search engine works like it's supposed to work, and we'll see. Well, it's something else for us to obsess over late at night while we're reading our phones while we should be asleep.
Well, I reckon that just about takes us to the end of a discussion today. So just about time for maybe a single takeaway from everyone. So if you can maybe think about one aspect of what we've discussed today in terms of what our viewers should go away with and actually think about a little bit more in terms of likely to be relevant and impactful for their businesses. So hopefully you can all have a little think about that. So, but we'll go through everyone here. So let's start with Zach again. So just remind everyone who you are and where you're from and your takeaway. That'd be great.
Did you say me?
Zach, yes.
Put out there for a second. Zach at Foster Web Marketing in Washington, D.C. And I think the big takeaway here is this is just Google moving towards cleaning up the web. And I'm really excited to potentially in the future, it's not going to be tomorrow or a couple months from now, but service for the internet for Google and start actually focusing so much more on doing positive things. And I think that really is going to benefit everyone if we're thinking about ways to earn those good quality links and stop thinking about ways to trick the system and build links that are only meant to and not the user. Our jobs are going to be a lot more fun. They're going to be a lot more interesting and creative and focus less on a cleanup service and more of a providing good quality content ideas and marketing tactics.
So if your job is only about tripping up people or tricking search engines at the moment, then look for another job. That's your advice to people.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Zach. And also with us today was Mark.
Hi. So just to kind of repeat, I work for Bossify, and we, just as a short plug, combine crawl data, so simulating a crawl across your site with your logs. And I think actually that could be really interesting stuff. And I hope that we'll see some interesting stuff for clients in that comparison. The thing that stuck with me today, the thing I'm kind of unsure about is this kind of emphasis on granularity that Google's used, because like Marcus said, there was always an element of granularity to Penguin. So it's why make that comment? What may we see that's different, particularly on large websites? I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So anyway, that's to give a variety of takeaways. I think the granularity thing is the kind of point that I'm still kind of we've sort of smoothed over it, but I'm just not quite so sure.
I don't think everyone is 100%, but it's great to have different opinions anyway. So thanks for joining us, Mark.
Pleasure.
And also with us today was Marcus.
Hey folks, so yeah, my name's Marcus Miller. My company's called Bowler Hat. I'm head of search. I mean, my takeaway would be just do good marketing. Try and understand where your customers are, see what you can do to help them, and sprinkle the SEO on top of that.
Sprinkle the SEO fairy dust. Thanks for joining us, Marcus. It was great to have you on.
Pleasure.
And also with us today was Laura.
Hi, yeah, so I'm Laura, head of search at Rice Media, research and social agency. And for me, the key takeaway is just don't fear links. Like if you're doing link earning, as I'm now going to call it, thank you, properly, then you have absolutely nothing to fear. Use good quality content. Don't try and bring people to a site without content there to do it.
The user signals will come back and get you. Thank you, Laura. Great to have you here. Also with us today is Casper.
Hi, this is Casper Szymanski of SearchBrothers.com. I always like to think that I like to share a little bit of piece of actionable advice every time I get an opportunity to talk to peers and online people. So here's my thought: skip the middleman, build links for traffic. Do that. Don't think PageRank. Go for the traffic straight away. Consider that an alternative going forward. Thanks for having me.
Great advice. Thanks for joining us, Casper. And last but not least, Felipe. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you guys for allowing me to participate on the show. And well, I'm Felipe from Brazil. I'm head of SEO for SEO marketing. And my takeaway is I wouldn't stress too much about Penguin 4.0. If you're doing the right thing till now, building links, quality links, working with good quality content, and focusing on your target audience, you have nothing to worry about. I think just keep doing what you're doing, and you're not going to be impacted by it.
Superb. Okay. Well, thanks so much, Felipe. Well, I'm David Bain, Content Marketing Director here at Authoritas.com, the data science-driven SEO and content marketing platform for agencies and enterprises. Now, if you're watching this show as a recording or listening to it, remember to watch the next show live. So head over to thisweekinorganic.com, sign up there and be part of the live audience for the next show. But for those of you watching live, we also have an audio podcast of previous shows. So again, go to that URL, thisweekinorganic.com, and you'll receive the podcast links from there too. But to finish off today, let's take a look at a video actually from my colleague Lauren reviewing MarketShare, a brand new platform that we're launching here at Authoritas.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'd like to introduce you to MarketShare by Authoritas, the next generation competitor analysis, keyword research, and content marketing strategy platform. MarketShare collects the SERPs for millions of keywords and clusters pages, websites, and keywords based on the structure of the SERPs, shedding light on Google's algorithm in any market. And to show you how the platform works, let's have a look at Topshop.com, the popular women's clothing chain based in the UK. Here, on the overview page for Topshop.com, we can immediately see the number of commercial keywords that the business is ranking for, compared with the total market opportunity, the number of searches that the brand is appearing for, the visibility percentage, and the weekly value of the existing traffic that comes from organic search, compared with the total market opportunity. Moving down, we can see the market visibility share percentage of all the top players, and further down, we can change it to view the data of your top 100 competitors, quickly finding some that you might not have been aware of. Here, we can pinpoint competitors that are doing particularly well from a commercial perspective. For example, we can see that eBay has 7.45% market visibility, but over 10% of the traffic in terms of commercial value. So, this overview section is where you can discover your top 100 competitors and benchmark your ongoing performance against the rest of your industry. Moving on to optimizing your existing content. This section introduces you to clustered keyword opportunities in our average relative strength versus organic growth potential matrix. The further right you go, the more likely you'll be able to rank for these opportunities, and the higher you go, the bigger the potential traffic increase. The size of the bubbles reflect the number of unique keywords available for optimization within the opportunity cluster. So let's select an area of the matrix we want to focus on. And after this, let's select the shoes cluster. From there, let's select the heels cluster. Inside this cluster, we can immediately find some excellent opportunities to improve existing rankings. We can see that the site ranks number 7 for the keyword lace-up heels. And we can also see here that the potential to increase site traffic by 554 visits per week just by ranking number 1 for the single identified keyword phrase. Let's move on to new keyword suggestions for existing content. This is where we've found opportunities for you to tweak your existing content to start ranking for new keyword phrases. Let's click on the knitwear cluster this time. And now let's go to the top right-hand side of the page where you can find the best ranking opportunities for the knitwear cluster. And as you can see, on top of the pile is Christmas jumpers. This intelligent use of big data could revolutionize the way that your future web content planning is done, and even help with future stock purchase decisions. Next, new content suggestions, helping you to decide which pages to publish next from a projected ROI perspective. So here, let's look at sportswear. And now, let's look at the running cluster. Here we can see big opportunities for producing content around phrases such as gym clothes, running leggings, and running shorts. And of course, just like any set of market share results here inside the Authoritas platform, you can show or hide different columns, set advanced rules and filters, and download the results for further analysis as a CSV file. So, in summary, inside market share from Authoritas, you can benchmark your organic search performance against your top 100 competitors, pinpoint quick wins for your existing SEO campaigns, discover new keyword opportunities for existing content, map out an ROI-driven strategy for future content production, and this is all underpinned by a new world of data science-driven SEO intelligence and projected return on investment. But the important question is, how would you take advantage of the Authoritas platform? Arrange a demo today and let us help you take your competitive analysis, keyword research, and content marketing strategy to the next level.